You're listening to a Toadstool and Fairy Dust reading of the book Sweet Dream Pie by Audrey Wood, pictures by Mark Teague, and creatively read by Miss Jill. Be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. It lets YouTube know that you want to hear more videos like this one. It was almost dawn on Willoughby Street when Pa Brindle lit a lantern and led Ma Brindle up to the dark attic, to an old trunk draped in cobwebs. "I haven't slept a wink tonight," said Pa. "I've been craving a piece of that sweet dream pie, just like the one you made me long ago." "Well, last time I made you that pie, you ate too much," Ma grumbled. "And if you remember, your dreams weren't so sweet." Pa Brindle blew out the cobwebs off the trunk, then threw it open, and all the cats in the neighborhood opened one eye. An enormous mixing bowl, a great rolling pin, a gigantic pie pan, and a small brass bell glistened in the lantern light. "Oh, I'll be good this time," Pa promised. "All I need is one big piece of sweet dream pie, just one. That's all I want." "Well, then, I'll make it and you help," Ma agreed. "But if things get out of hand, don't blame me." The Brindles carried the extra-large utensils down to the kitchen and began to make the pie. When the dough was ready, Ma rolled it out on the table, and when she did, all the people on Willoughby Street, including little Amy McPherson, rolled out of their beds and onto the floors. Next, Ma fashioned 2 great pie crusts. Then the Brindles began to toss in every sweet thing that they could find in their enormous mixing bowl. Gumdrops flew through the air and rained down with marshmallows, candy corn, cinnamon hots, chewing gum, chocolate drops, butterscotch, licorice sticks, lollipops, sugar cubes, jelly beans, candy sprinkles, cookies, and so much more. Clouds of powdered sugar drifted out the windows into the street. A chocolate tornado sprang up and whirled out the door, knocking Johnny Lunds, who was trying to deliver newspapers, right off his bicycle. The enormous mixing bowl began to glow. A thick, sweet syrup bubbled up and oozed down the sides. The Brindles poured the filling into a giant pie pan, then wrestled the top of the crust into place. Ma crimped the edges, and Pa poked the steam holes in. The crust began to move, as if things inside were trying to get out. Pa shoved the pie into the oven and slammed the door. Quickly he turned the oven dial past bake, broil, and roast to a setting that simply said special. As the sun rose, the oven warmed and the heat wave hit Willoughby Street. It was too hot to go to work or school, so everyone stayed home doing cool things. Even Mary Chubb, who had never missed a day at the library in 15 years, lounged beneath her sunflower. By noon, the delicious smell of Ma Brindle's sweet dream pie blanketed the neighborhood with a blissful aroma. Everyone was simply drooling to taste that pie. It was so hot, all the air conditioners even stopped working. No one was cool, except for Perry Arbuckle, who filled the tub in his conservatory with ice cubes and then sat in it. After the sun set, the sweet dream pie browned, and the sky burned a fiery red above Willoughby Street. It was too hot to eat much, so everyone just picked at their dinner and thought about the pie cooking in Ma's kitchen. That evening, all the neighbors found an excuse to stop by the Brindles' house. Pa set up tables and colored lights outside and invited everyone to stay and share his special dessert. They all were thrilled, except for Amy McPherson. Amy couldn't eat pie because it made her sneeze. The dogs jumped up and began to chase their tails, and Ma Brindle rang the small brass bell. "It's time for sweet dream pie," she called. Pa Brindle and Johnny Lunds carried the pie out and sat it down. Steam rose up from the pie, and a thick fog settled over the neighborhood. Standing side by side, the Brindles blew upon the pie to cool it off. A welcoming breeze sprang up, whirled napkins and party plates into the air, and clearing off the fog. Ma cut the pie as the neighbors lined up. "Now be careful," she warned. "This pie is very rich. 1 piece is all you need." No one had ever tasted anything like Ma Brindle's sweet dream pie. It was so sweet. Happy tears just rolled down everyone's cheeks. Now don't eat too much," Ma kept saying. "Only 1 piece or you'll be sorry." But no one listened. They all helped themselves to sweet thirds and sweet fourths. Pa Brindle broke his promise. He gobbled down sweet 6 and even 7ths. Poor Inky King ate so much he looked as if he'd swallowed a bowling ball. When Myrtle Murphy's parrot pecked up the very last crumb, a hush fell upon Willoughby Street. The neighbors thanked Ma and Pa for sharing their wonderful pie. Suddenly, all they wanted to do was go home and snuggle in their cozy beds. Some made it. Others dozed off along the way. Ma Brindle shook her head in dismay. "After all that sweetness," she said, "no one will rest well tonight." Then she went inside to get her broom. That's when the dreaming began. Pa Brindle's dream was the first to pop up. Bigger than a dump truck, it galloped through the neighborhood, whistling for the others to follow. Dreams of every shape and size and color drifted up from the dreamers and began to sport and play. All of the dreamers on Willoughby Street tossed and turned in their beds, all restless. Ma Brindle had never seen so many wild dreams. They were everywhere and into everything. The dreams were too happy and too excited, and doing things they shouldn't do. When enough was enough, Ma took up her broom and began to sweep, 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 until she had swept every last dream from Willoughby Street. All of the dreamers, including Pa Brindle, sighed with relief and finally settled in for a good night's sleep. From her bedroom window, little Amy McPherson watched it all, and for once in her life, she was glad she could not eat pie. The end.